This is number 38 in chapter 17. Number 38 has 4 different parts, A, B, C, D, and D, but I'm just going to show you how to do it the first time, and then you guys can practice with the others. We're given a number of values here for our delta H of reaction, which is equal to negative 95 kilojoules per mole. We're told our delta S of reaction is equal to negative 157 joules per mole Kelvin, and we're told our temperature is 298 Kelvin. And so it's saying, given these values, determine our delta S of the universe, and then predict whether or not the reaction will be spontaneous. And so to solve this type of problem, we need to use the relationship between the delta S of the universe and the delta S of the system and the delta S of the surroundings. And so given our relationship between delta S and delta H, namely that delta S of the system is equal to the delta H of the system over temperature, we can use that equation to solve this expression. So we're trying to find the delta S of the universe, and so that is equal to the delta S of the system. And remember, the system is really the reaction, right? So we have that negative 157 joules per mole Kelvin, and then that's going to be plus the delta S of the surroundings. Well, we aren't given the delta S of the surroundings, but we are given the delta H of the system and temperature. And so we can say that, well, if the delta S of the surroundings is equal to the delta H of the surroundings, that means it would be equal to negative delta H of the system. Remember that equal in magnitude, opposite in sign for delta H's, right? So the delta S of the surroundings would be the delta H of the surroundings over temperature, but since we're using the system delta H, that's why we have the negative sign out in front. And so if we plug in our values, we get our delta H of the system would be 95 kilojoules per mole, negative 95 kilojoules per mole. So that's why this is going to be a plus 95. And notice I'm actually going to convert that into joules per mole so that the joules agree with each other. Remember, we got to make sure our delta H's and our delta S are in that proper joule term, or kilojoules. Just be consistent over 298K. And so that delta S would be equal to negative 157 joules per mole Kelvin plus 318.7 joules per mole Kelvin. And so if we now bring that up to here, we can solve for our delta S, which is 161.7 joules per mole Kelvin. It is positive, and so that means it is spontaneous. So that is number 38, part A, in chapter 17.